What if everything you've been told about aging alone is wrong? Think about it. When a woman over 60 lives by herself, what do people assume? Loneliness, isolation, that something went wrong. Society tells you that living alone means you've been left behind. But I'm here to tell you something different. Because I live alone. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made. I'm in my late 60s. I've been on my own for 8 years now. And in that time, I've connected with hundreds of women across this country who made the same choice. From Seattle to Miami, women in their 60, 70, even 90, living independently. Today I'm sharing 5 truths about this life. Truths society doesn't talk about. Truths that get buried under judgment and pity. But truths you need to hear. If you're living alone, considering it, or wondering if you made the right choice, this is for you. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Let's begin. Because this isn't about settling or giving up. This is about understanding that choosing to live alone can be one of the most empowering decisions of your life. The first truth about older women who choose to live alone is this. They're protecting what they've spent a lifetime building. Financial advisors see a pattern. Women who live alone maintain complete control over their retirement savings, pensions, and assets. Research shows women over 65 living alone make their own financial decisions without compromise or pressure. And that matters more than you might think. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's 68, lives in Portland. After her divorce at 64, friends expected her to find a companion quickly. Maybe remarry, at least date seriously. Instead, she chose to stay in her small apartment alone. 4 years later, her savings are intact. No unexpected medical bills for a partner. No pressure to combine finances. No loans to adult stepchildren she barely knows. Margaret told a financial counselor, "I worked 40 years for this security. Why would I risk it now?" Think about what women living alone report. Complete control over spending decisions. Every dollar goes where you decide it goes. No financial obligations to new partners or their families. You're not supporting someone else's adult children. You're not covering someone else's debt. You can budget precisely on fixed income. You know exactly what's coming in, exactly what's going out. No surprises. No someone else spending without telling you. And here's something elder law attorneys talk about. Financial abuse often comes from romantic partners, not strangers, not scammers calling on the phone. Partners, people you trust. One attorney told me that single women in her practice rarely face the wealth depletion issues common among those who remarried or moved in with partners. The truth is, living alone isn't financially risky. It's financially smart. You decide when to splurge on grandchildren. You decide when to save. You decide when to donate to causes you care about. Your money serves your values, not someone else's needs, not someone else's family, not someone else's priorities. Women I've talked to describe this peace. Peace knowing their nest egg will last. Peace knowing unexpected expenses won't drain their accounts because someone else got sick. Peace knowing they can leave inheritances intact. What they worked for goes where they want it to go. This is your security, your stability, your lifetime of work, protected. But financial security is just the beginning. There's another truth about living alone that challenges everything we've been told about companionship and happiness. The second truth. Women who live alone are not isolated. They're often more socially connected than their married peers. I know that sounds backward, but sociologists studying solo living found something surprising. Older women living alone actively maintain diverse friendships. They join more groups. They engage more frequently in community activities. Why? Because they don't have a built-in companion, so they build intentional networks. Let me tell you about Carol. She's 72. She's lived alone in Chicago. She belongs to a book club. She volunteers at a food bank twice weekly. She has coffee with different friends 4 mornings a week. She attends theatre performances with a standing group. Carol told a researcher, "When John was alive, he was my social life. Now I have 12 people I'm close to instead of one." 12 people. Think about that. Women living alone report deeper friendships because they invest time nurturing them. You can't just assume your social needs are met because someone lives in your house. You have to reach out. You have to maintain connections. And that creates something richer. You develop varied social circles, hobby groups, volunteer work, classes, neighbors. Each circle brings different conversations, different perspectives, different relationships. You have more meaningful conversations because each interaction is chosen. You're not socializing out of obligation. You're connecting because you want to. Every coffee date matters. Every phone call is intentional. And here's something important. You have resilience when one friend moves or becomes ill. You have a network, not a single person. When you depend on one relationship for all your social needs, losing that person is devastating. When you have 12 people you're close to, you still have 11. Gerontologists note something interesting. Women with diverse social networks show better cognitive health and longevity than those dependent on one relationship. One psychologist I spoke with observed that solo living women rarely experience the devastating isolation that can follow a spouse's death when married. Because they already built the network. They're already connected. The truth is, living alone doesn't create loneliness. It creates opportunity. You choose your company. You build a web of connections instead of relying on a single thread. Women describe richness I recognize in my own life. Lunch with college friends you reconnected with. Evenings with bridge partners. Sunday calls with siblings you grew closer to. Neighborhood friendships that flourish when you're present and available, not rushing home to someone. This is connection by design. Intentional. Diverse. Strong. Beyond social connection, there's a third truth about living alone, one that speaks to something deeper than friendship or finances. The third truth: they've reclaimed complete sovereignty over their own lives. Psychologists studying life satisfaction in older adults found that autonomy, the ability to make your own choices, is one of the strongest predictors of well-being. And women living alone score higher on autonomy measures than those living with partners or family. Let me tell you about Diane. She's 70, lives in a small house in Denver. She eats dinner at 9 p.m. if she wants. She turned her spare bedroom into an art studio. She travels to visit grandchildren on her schedule. She keeps the thermostat exactly where she likes it. Diane told a wellness counselor, "For 45 years, I compromised on everything. Now I don't compromise on anything. It's glorious." Glorious. That's the word she used. Women describe freedom in the smallest details. Sleep schedules. You're an early bird? Get up at 5? Night owl? Stay up until 2. No negotiation needed. No one complaining you're waking them up or keeping them awake. Home. Environment. Temperature. You're always cold? Turn the heat up. Prefer it cool? Keep it at 65. Cleanliness standards, decoration choices, noise level. Every detail reflects your preferences alone. Meal choices? Cereal for dinner? Fine. Elaborate 3-course meal at 4? Also fine. Skip dinner entirely and have dessert? Your call. No one judging. No one expecting something different. Social obligations. You can say no without explaining to a partner. You don't want to attend that event? Don't go. You'd rather stay home and read. Stay home and read. No defending your choice. No compromise. Daily routines. Yoga at dawn. TV until midnight. Complete flexibility. Your day unfolds exactly how you want it to unfold. Life coaches working with older women note something powerful. Those living alone often rediscover parts of themselves lost during decades of accommodation. One counselor told me clients report feeling like themselves again after decades of compromise. Like themselves again. Think about that. The truth is, this autonomy isn't selfish, it's restorative. You've spent decades considering others, children's needs, spouses' preferences, employers' demands, aging parents' care. Decades of putting yourself second, third, fourth. Now, your home operates on your terms. Women describe the profound relief I feel every day. No explaining why you want to read instead of watch TV. No defending your grocery choices. No negotiating bedtime or wake-up time. Your preferences matter because they're the only preferences that need to matter. This isn't loneliness. This is self-determination. This is designing a life that fits you perfectly. Every detail, every choice, every moment. Autonomy brings freedom, but there's a fourth truth that might surprise you. One about caregiving and responsibility. The fourth truth: women living alone have chosen not to spend their final decades as unpaid caregivers. Healthcare researchers document a pattern. Older women who remarry or live with partners often become primary caregivers within 5 to 10 years. Women living alone avoid what many call the second shift of aging, caring for someone else while managing their own health. Let me tell you about Barbara. She's 74, lives alone in Seattle. Her husband died 8 years ago. Friends suggested she date, maybe remarry, find companionship. She watched 3 friends become full-time caregivers for new partners who developed dementia or serious illness. She watched them disappear into caregiving, cancel plans, miss activities, age faster than she did. Barbara told a support group, "I gave 40 years to raising children and caring for my husband. I'm not signing up to do it again at 75. Women living alone report something I experience myself. The ability to focus on your own health needs without guilt. You have a doctor's appointment? You go. You need to rest. You rest. No one else's needs come first. Energy for activities you enjoy rather than caregiving duties. You can take that pottery class, join that hiking group, travel. Because your time is yours. Financial resources for your own care, not depleted on a partner's expenses. Long-term care is expensive. If you're caring for a partner, your savings drain fast. If you're caring for yourself alone, your resources last. No difficult decisions about nursing homes or in-home care for partners. You won't face choosing between your well-being and theirs. You won't agonize over whether to place someone in memory care. Freedom from watching another loved one decline. If you've done it once, you know how hard it is. Watching someone you love lose themselves, lose abilities, lose independence. You don't have to do it again. Geriatric social workers note something important. Women who become caregivers in their 70s often sacrifice their own health. They miss medical appointments, they skip medications, they develop stress-related conditions. One social worker told me that solo living women maintain better self-care routines because they're only responsible for themselves. The truth is, choosing to live alone isn't avoiding love. It's choosing self-preservation. You can have companionship without caregiving. You can have friendship without obligation. You can care about someone without caring for them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Women describe relief I understand deeply. Attending your own doctor's appointments without rushing home. taking medications on schedule, joining exercise classes without worrying about leaving someone home alone, traveling without arranging care coverage. This isn't selfishness. This is wisdom. You know what caregiving costs because you've done it. You've given years to it. Choosing not to do it again is choosing to protect your own well-being, your health, your energy, your peace. There's one final truth about living alone, perhaps the most important one of all. The fifth truth about women living alone. They often discover who they are for the first time in decades. Developmental psychologists studying women's identity across the lifespan found something remarkable. Women who live alone after 60 often experience what they call identity reclamation, reconnecting with interests, values, and aspects of self that were dormant during years of family obligations. Let me tell you about Patricia. She's 69, lives in a condo in Miami. She started painting at 65, something she'd loved in her 20s, but abandoned when children arrived. Now her work sells at local galleries. She also learned Spanish. She volunteers teaching English to immigrants. Patricia told an interviewer, "I forgot I was creative. I forgot I loved languages. I was somebody's wife, somebody's mother for so long. I didn't remember who Patricia was." Who Patricia was. That hits hard, doesn't it? Women describe pursuing hobbies without judgment or time constraints. You want to spend 6 hours on a Saturday making pottery? Do it. No one wondering when you're coming back. No one needing dinner. No one questioning why you're doing this. Taking classes in subjects that interest you, not family. You. You want to learn astronomy? Ancient history? Watercolor painting? Sign up. This isn't about enriching your children or supporting a partner's interests. This is about what fascinates you. Developing skills you never had time for. Playing an instrument. Speaking a new language. Woodworking. Photography. Whatever you dreamed about but never pursued. Finding purpose in volunteer work or passion projects. Not because someone expects it. Because it matters to you. Because you choose it. Creating daily routines that reflect your authentic preferences, not what a family needs, what you need, what energizes you, what brings you joy. Making life decisions based on your values alone, where you live, how you spend money, what you do with your time, all of it aligned with who you actually are. Therapists working with older women note something I find fascinating. Those living alone often report greater life satisfaction and sense of purpose than they felt in earlier decades. One therapist told me that clients discover they like themselves better now than they did when partnered. They like themselves better now, after 60, 70, 80 years of life. The truth is, living alone isn't an ending. It's often a beginning. The space and silence that others fear becomes room for self-discovery. Without anyone else's needs to consider, you finally ask, what do I want? What matters to me? Who am I when I'm not performing a role? Women describe joy in answering those questions. The retired teacher who became a potter, the former accountant writing poetry, the grandmother learning guitar, the widow discovering she loves solo travel. This isn't filling time. This is reclaiming it. This is becoming yourself. Fully, unapologetically, finally. These 5 truths paint a picture, very different from society's narrative about aging alone. Let me bring this together. So let me ask you something. When you hear older woman living alone, what image comes to mind? If you're honest, it's probably loneliness, isolation, maybe even sadness. That's what we've been taught to imagine. But now you know the truth. Let me recap the 5 truths we've discussed today. First, Women living alone protect their financial independence. They maintain control over retirement savings. They make spending decisions without compromise. They avoid the financial risks that often come with new partnerships in later life. Their security remains intact. Second, they build stronger social networks than many married peers. Instead of relying on one person, they cultivate diverse friendships. They join communities. They create rich social lives. They're not isolated. They're intentionally connected. Third, they reclaim complete autonomy over daily life. Every choice, from sleep schedules to home temperature to meal times, belongs entirely to them. After decades of compromise, they design lives that fit perfectly. Fourth, they choose freedom from caregiving burdens. They've already given decades to caring for others. Living alone means protecting their own health, energy, and resources instead of becoming unpaid caregivers again. Fifth, they rediscover themselves. In the space and silence that others fear, they reconnect with dormant interests. They develop new skills. They finally answer the question, who am I when I'm not performing a role for someone else? Now, I want to be clear about something. This isn't about saying partnered life is wrong or that everyone should live alone. This is about challenging the narrative that living alone equals failure or sadness. For women who choose this path, whether after divorce, widowhood, or simply because they prefer it, these aren't consolation prizes. These are genuine benefits, real advantages, meaningful freedoms. Society will question your choice. People will ask if you're lonely. They'll suggest dating or moving closer to family. They might even pity you. But you know something they don't. You're not lonely. You're free. You're not isolated. You're intentionally connected. You're not giving up. You're choosing yourself. That distinction matters. Loneliness is unwanted solitude. What you have is chosen independence. They're completely different things. I want to hear from you. Are you a woman living alone? What's the biggest benefit you've discovered? What truth would you add to this list? Or maybe you're considering this path. What concerns you? What appeals to you? Leave a comment below. Your experience matters. Your wisdom might help another woman who's wondering if she can thrive alone. Share your story. If this resonated with you, hit that like button. Share this video with a friend who needs to hear these truths, and subscribe for more content that challenges the narratives about aging, independence, and women's choices. Here's what I want you to remember. Living alone in your 60s, 70s, 80s isn't settling for less. For many women, it's finally claiming more autonomy, more authenticity, more peace. You've spent decades making others comfortable. Maybe it's time to design a life that makes you comfortable. A life where your preferences matter, where your schedule is yours, where your home reflects you and only you. That's not loneliness. That's liberation. That's not isolation. That's intentional living. And that's a truth worth celebrating. Your life, your choice, your truth.